Hi everyone, welcome to day 37 and we'll be continuing with the Netflix clone. Today we'll be building the search functionality, working on the search bar and also the profile menu. So let's get started with that. So we'll go to all of that information is present in the header component, right? So let's go to the header component. And this is where we had added the logic for displaying the functionality related to the header. Okay, all right, so this is the placeholder for that, and here what we will do is we will add a few icons here. So import search, um, so we have the bell icon, let's call that as notification icon from @hero icon slash 24 size. We're interested in the outline and we're interested in the bell icon. Okay, and we're also interested in um, displaying. So we will have three parts here. The first part is for the search icon. All right, then the next thing that we will be having is the bell, the notification icon, and then we will have the profile, right? So these are the things that we will be including over here. Let's give a class here, w8 and h8. Okay, and let's style this a bit as well. So for the for over here we will add a padding towards the right of 16, and this part, this will change back to auto, so it will take up as much space as it needs. Okay, and for the logo we'll change the height as well, and for the links let's change the text to text base. All right, and now we'll create a component which will be used for implementing the search bar. So let's create a component searchBar.tsx. Okay, and here we will have the search bar. Let's include that here, and let's style this as well. So we will use flexbox over here. We will align the items vertically towards the center, and we'll give a gap of 4, and we will say that justify self. So we just want this element to justify itself towards the end of it. Okay, all right, so this is where this is coming right now. And let's build the structure for this. So we will have a section here, And for the first part, we will show a button here which will have the search icon, and then we will have another section which will have the search button as well as the input, which is of type text. Okay, and let's import the search icon. So there's a magnifying glass icon, we'll use that. Okay. And let's add this over here. Let's give this a width and a height. So this is going to have a width of 8 and a height of 8. And let's use flexbox over here as well. Items, center. All right. And let's add the search icon here as well. Okay. Then what we want to do here is that let's give this a width. So let's give it a width of 300 pixels by default. And what we will be doing is we will also specify overflow hidden. All right. And we'll create a state. So what we want to do is when we click on, by default, only the search button is going to show up. So let's take a look at the behavior in the Netflix. So this is the thing that we're trying to achieve, that when you click on this kind of slides, and when you click outside, it closes back. So this is the behavior that we are trying to build right now. Okay. All right. So let's create a state variable here. Open, set open, by default it is false. And let's import use state. Okay. And let's add some logic here. So we'll give it the same class as this. Okay. And let's style this part as well. So what we want to do here is that when it's not open, right, we want to give certain styling, and when it is open we want to give it another type of some other styling. So wait, I want to move this inside of this. All right. And here we will have dollar. So when it's not open, we will say this will have a full width and will have a border sorry, the other way around. This will have a border, and it will have the border white. Okay, and otherwise it will have a 0 width. So when this is open, uh, we want that this has a border, and let's give it some default styling as well. So flex items center, and let's give a gap of 2, and let's give it a dark background color, bg dark. All right, so right now it is not open, that's why we have this. Okay, and for this, let's style this as well. So this is going to take up the entire width of its container, which is this section. This is also going to have a dark background, and we will say outline none. Okay, so now it has become invisible because this has a 0 width, right? So this is taking up as much width as provided by the container. Okay, and let's define a style as well. Stroke width. So this will have stroke. We are trying to change the the width for this. We'll give a stroke width of 4 pixels, and we will assign this to both the search icons that we have. Okay, wait, this is a bit too thick. All right, and actually let's use rem values so that based on the zoom they work accordingly. All right, let's give this a name, search bar, and id search bar. All right, okay, and let's create a function over here, function toggle search, and then here we will say set open not open. So whatever is the previous value of open, we will just do opposite of that. So let's set this on the click for this toggle search, right? So when we are clicking on this, you can see that this bar is showing up, right? So we gave this outline none because if we do not have it, you can see that there's this outline for the input text, I mean the input element, right? So we don't want that, so that is why we gave that outline none. And also let's give a padding here. Okay, so the padding is also showing up, and when this is open, right, we want to give it a different styling. So let's add the logic here. Okay, so when it's not open, We want this to have a width of 8, otherwise we want this to have a 0 width. Okay, so now we only see this, and let's take a reference of this input element. So const input ref, use ref, this is HTML input element, and we'll initially set this to null. And what we want is we'll say ref equals input ref, and here we will check if not open, right? uh, we want to set the focus inside this input element the moment we click on this search. Okay, so input ref dot current dot focus, so we'll call the focus function on this. So let's click on this, and now we have the focus inside the text box. Now for the sliding animation effect, we need to do a couple of things. So by default, uh, so we'll create an animation for this. All right, so if we take a look at this, the effect that we have over here is that this is sliding from right to left. All right, so if you want to do something similar, what we need to do is let's inspect this. Okay, and I'll do a quick refresh. Okay, so this is our entire section, right? If we give this a margin towards the right, and which is negative 100%. Wait a sec. Okay, just a moment. Just checking whether I missed something, or so this has this section. So this has a width of 300, and then we're giving this a negative margin. This should have shifted further. Why is it flex 300 pixels? This is that entire section. So ideally when we were giving, so this is the effect that we were trying to do, that initially this has a margin, right? Complete, so it is completely hidden. And when we click on the search, at that point of time, it kind of slides in from here like this. Okay, so it goes from 100% of that to zero basically, right? So that it gives the effect that it is sliding from right to left. So that is the effect that we are trying to achieve. So it should also work with margin, right? If we give this a negative 100%, but I'm not sure why this is not working right now. Hang on a sec. Section with full. Okay, for some reason this is having no impact whatsoever. But anyways, that is the thing that we're trying to do. Let me just cross check once whether I'm missing something. Um, so we have the flex item here. We have given this a width of 300, and we're saying, okay, so this also we say justify towards the end. All right, yeah. So whatever is the available width, we want to ensure that this is towards the end. I think that was the thing which was missing. And now let's try and inspect this. And if we give this element a margin right, which is negative 100%, so you can see that it hides, and as we increase this, it will, start cropping back up. Okay, wait. Yeah. So minus 100%, right? So it's completely hidden, and then as we increase the value, it will slide. So that was the thing that we're trying to build here. So we'll add some animation effect for this. In order to define your own animations, we need to go to tailwind config, and we will go to the themes, and we want to extend the keyframes section. And here we want to say that we'll create a new animation slide right to left. Okay, and here we will say that from, so this is expecting an object, we will have margin right. Okay, so initially it is minus 90%, and then we're specifying it to, let's just copy this, and we're going from minus 90% to just 0%. All right, and then let's, to use this animation, we will use the animation object, and here we will define a new animation. So we'll say slide right to left, and here we will say it's using this keyframe basically, and the duration of the animation is 0.4 seconds, and we'll say ease in and out. Okay, and then let's come over here back to the search bar. Let's use the animation effect. Here we'll say animate slide right to left. All right, and I think that should do the trick. Let's do a refresh, and when we click on this you can see that it is sliding, right? So that is the effect that we are trying to build. Okay, now what we want to do is when we click outside, right, this should on its own it should basically hide once again. So for that we will create another function handle outside click, and here we will check that you will use a use effect hook, and we will say window dot add event listener. We want to listen to the click event, and when that happens we will call the handle outside click function, and we will remove this event listener when this is unmounted, when this component is unmounted, and we'll say handle outside click, and this is dependent on the open property. So we will check if open, right? When that happens, only in that scenario we want to add this event handler. Okay, and yeah, whenever we are clicking outside we want that set open is set to false basically, right? So let's do a refresh, and now nothing is working because both of these are being called. So let's do one thing. This is going to get an event object, right, which is mouse event html button element. Okay, this needs to be on this. All right, and then here we will say that event dot what happened. Mouse event is not generic. What? This is odd anyways. Stop propagation. So whenever we are clicking on this, right, we do not want that this event should propagate to this one, because otherwise the moment we click on that, it will consider that as an outside click, right? And now whenever we are clicking outside of this, it is collapsing. And there's also this slight black color coming. We'll take care of that in just a minute. And let's see. And here also we want to check that this is going to get an event which is global this dot mouse event, and we will check here if event dot target dot id, or rather let's also give this the just the mouse event. So event dot target dot, okay, so we need to tell that the target would be the so what is happening right now is when we click over here, right, inside the text box, it is still collapsing and we do not want that. So we will say HTML input element. Okay, and we want to check if its ID property is equal to the ID for the input element, which is nothing but search bar, right? We want to ensure that whenever we are clicking on inside on the input element, uh, when it is not, if it's any other element except the input element, then we can basically set open to false. Okay, and what is the issue now? Let's take a look at this. Mouse event HTML button element. Now this is not working. Okay, 1 second. Let's get this from React. All right, yeah, now this is making sense. And wait, I changed this at the wrong place. Sorry, this should have been here. And this needs to be mouse event. Not this one. We'll say global this dot mouse event. Okay, so all of the errors have been resolved, and let's inspect what this black thing is. So this is basically this element. Yeah, it's getting that padding. So we only want to give the padding to this uh, when it is open. Okay, and now this is not collapsing, and when we are clicking anywhere outside, right, it's closing on its own. Okay, all right, and let's add a placeholder over here, and here we will say that this will have the title, people as well as the genres. So that is the placeholder text for this. All right. Now let's start working on the profile component. So profile dot profile menu dot tsx, and let's add that component here. Okay, so let's define the structure for this. So here we will have a section which will have uh, the user image, and apart from that we will have we will need an icon, chevron down icon, and also we will have an unordered list for all the menu items, right? So we are trying to build this part now. Okay, so let's give this a height of 6 and a width of 6. Display, not display, we'll say flex here, and this is going to be uh, relatively positioned, and here we will have all the LIs. So let's create 4 of these. So we will display the username here, then the manage profiles, transfer profile, and the account, and after this we will have one for help center and another entry for sign out of Netflix. Okay, so we can see all of these over here. Let's give this a class. Actually, let's keep it like this. Let's create a section here which has the user image and the icon basically. And this is flex. We can get rid of this. All right. And this is absolutely positioned. All right. And from the top, it takes up, um, let's say 60, for example, 60 pixels from the top. All right. Let's say flex column. Let's use a gap of 4. Let's give it a background dark, and we will say justify towards the center. and padding in the x direction of 4 and padding vertically 2. And let's give this a width as well, so w hyphen 200 pixels. All right, so this is going out. Let's give it a left as well, so a negative left of say 32. Let's change this, not 32. Let's pick a number from 20s, 28, 24. Okay, I think this looks good. And here, let's give this a class as well. So this will have a border towards the top, and border top, it will have the gray color. Let's use 500. And since we have this padding and we want this line to extend, right, let's give it a negative margin. So negative margin in the x direction of 4. And now you can see that the padding has been lost, so let's give it a padding in the x direction of 4. All right, so now this is coming, um, and let's give a padding from the top, which is 2. So this is working out like this. All right, so now what we want to do is just a moment, items center, and let's use a gap of 2 between this and this. Now what we want to do is whenever we enter this area, right, this icon should rotate and this menu should be hidden by default. Okay, so let's create a state variable for that. So use state, show menu, so initially it is false. Let's import this from React, and here we will check if show menu, then we display this, otherwise we do not display anything, right? Okay, and let's take a reference of this. So ref profile menu container, let's create a variable with that name, use ref, this is HTML section. Okay, let's just say this is HTML element. Why is it not showing up? Okay, one sec, let's keep this as just null. All right, And what we will do is so there's a message in the chat. Yeah, you can reach out to me on Discord, and you can also try posting the queries which you have in the development help channel at Discord, right? Um, yeah, so you can definitely reach out to me over there. Okay, all right. So we have this container element, and what we would like to do is we'll use the use effect whenever we are entering this element, right? We want to set the show menu to true. So use effect profile menu container dot current dot add event listener mouse enter, and let's create a function on mouse enter. We want to do something, and similarly let's create a function on mouse exit. Okay, so we will call the on mouse enter function. Let's import this from React. We also want to listen to the mouse leave event, and we will call the on mouse exit function. Whenever this component unmounts, we want to do the opposite of this, right? We want to remove both of these. So we'll say remove event listener, mouse enter, and mouse leave. And uh, this is not dependent on anything. All right. So whenever the mouse is entering, we will say set show menu. We will set it to true. Okay. And now you can see that whenever the mouse enters, this menu starts showing up. All right, and whenever we are exiting, we want to say set show menu to false. All right, so this entered, and now it exited, and whenever it's entering, the menu stays, right? But what is happening is, as we are coming here, this is collapsing. So we'll use a timeout for this. Okay. Um, on the exit, so set timeout. Let's use a timeout of 300 milliseconds, and let's move this in here, right? So the menu stays. Okay, but by the time we come from here to here, it is still losing it. So what we will do is, if we once we come over here, right, uh, we want to cancel the timeout because we are still inside the menu. All right, so let's take care of that now. So we'll create a ref const timer id equals use ref. We'll set the initial value to 0, and here we will say that timer id dot current equals this. And whenever we enter the mouse, right, if there is a timer id, we will clear the timeout associated with this id. All right, so now you can see that we are able to stick here. All right, and this is not hiding, and the moment we go outside, this hides. uh, let's add some effects over here. So what we want to do is we want to rotate the icon basically. So what we will do is we'll use a transition over here, transition on the transform property, and let's select this. All right. Whenever show menu is true, right? Uh, we want to add some styles. All right. So we want to say rotate by 180 degrees. Um, all right. Whenever the menu is showing up. So you can see that, this kind of rotates, and the moment we move outside it closes. Let's change the duration a bit. So duration, say 200. All right, and let's give this a stroke width as well. So style stroke width, and this is having a stroke width of 0.2 rem. So you can see now that the moment we are moving, right, till the time this is open, it stays like this, and the moment we come out, it goes back to its original position. Okay, next, this is done. Okay, and let's display the image over here. So we'll come to the assets, and I had downloaded some icons today, so I'll just paste this here, and let's go to the profile menu, and let's import this image. So import profile image from, let's do one thing actually, let's put this in the public folder, from just slash Netflix profile.png, and then here we will have a image tag, and let's give the source as profile image user profile image. Let's close this, and let's give a class over here. So it will have a height of 10 and a width of 10, and this is rounded medium. All right, so we can see that we have this image as well, and this is showing the menu also. All right, so this part is done to a certain extent. So any doubts so far? We'll take a quick break over here, and if you guys have any doubts, let me know. All right. So there's a doubt regarding the timeout functionality, right? So so what is happening is that we have written this logic, right? Whenever the mouse enters inside this section element, right, we are setting the show menu to true. Whenever we are setting that to true, we start displaying this menu. Okay. Then the other part is that so we are here, right? And so the mouse and that mouse enter event happened and the show menu was set to true. Now what is happening is by the time we come here, right, we come to this, uh, the mouse exit event gets fired. Okay. And then we are basically setting set show menu to false. So what I will do is I'll just comment out the timer, the timeout, and now see. By the time we come here to the menu, it it basically hides, right? So for that purpose, we added a slight delay that whenever we are going from here to here, so I'm giving some time to the user so that the user comes from here to here. But in spite of that, what happens is the timeout was getting fired after a duration of 300 milliseconds. So what we did is that now since this UL, this is also part of this section, right? Now since uh, now this is remaining open and we are coming here, this is part of the UL. So the mouse enter event will get triggered once again. Now this will check whether there's any timeout in progress. Okay. So the set timeout function returns a timer ID. All right. So we are storing that inside this reference variable, and we are checking whether any timeout is in progress. So if any timeout is in progress, we are clearing it. So if we when we clear this, basically the set show menu doesn't get called and it's not set to false. So that is why now the menu remains open. Okay. If we do not add this line, right, if we come over here after a duration of 300 milliseconds, still the the timeout gets executed and it sets, it hides the menu basically. So that is why we added this line, which basically checks that one when the mouse enter event happens again, right, when we come from here to here, once again the mouse enter event gets fired. It sees that there was a timeout in progress, it cancels that timeout. So this function doesn't get called and the menu remains open. And once again, when we just move out of this, now the exit, the mouse leave event gets triggered and uh, the it waits for 300 milliseconds and then it finally hides the menu. So that was the reason for doing that. Okay. You can use any you, so there's a package available known as npm. It's known as I think movie trailer. You can use that as well. So you give it the name of the movie and I think it gives you the YouTube trailer for that. So you can use that also. Okay. And let's see what else. What was the other question? There was another question about why are we using use effect for almost everything. So the reason that we're using use effect is because uh, if we write this code outside of the use effect, it will trigger a lot of re-renders, right? It will not be in a controlled manner. So we want things to happen in the, what do you say, uh, in the context of React. So this is something which is not part of React, right? And we want to bring it in the context of React. So whenever there are changes happening, whenever this component is mounting or unmounting, right? All of that, I mean, all of that takes place within React. And if you were to write this logic outside of this would not know, when this component is getting mounted or unmounted, and there would be memory leaks, right? So that is why we write all of these side effects, things which are not provided by default in React inside these use effects. This is the intended place for doing so. All right. Uh, So you're talking about this. So this is nothing but we are giving the type over here. Like what is the type of this reference? So this is pointing to a HTML element. And this here we directly gave a Boolean value. So it understood that this is a Boolean type. Um, and then yeah, so I mean basically that part is coming from TypeScript. All right. When we give the correct types over here, it shows up the autocomplete correctly associated with that element. So that is where it is really helpful. All right, let's work on the next part. We'll create a login screen. So let's come to the pages. Let's create one, login.tsx, create function, react functional component, login, and let's go to the route for this. And here we will have the login component. Let's go to login. All right, so the login route is showing up. Let's work on this now. So this will have a header basically, and we will have a main section. All right, and here we will let's put the image tag, and here we will show the Netflix logo. So import, let's do one thing, let's import it. So Netflix logo from, let me copy this, dot slash assets slash Netflix logo png. Let's give the path over here, Netflix logo. All right, let's style this. So takes the full width and not wi full with 100% height, 100%, and let's give this a width, say 56. All right, okay, so we have the logo, and here let's create a couple of sections. Let's create a section for displaying a background image. So I had downloaded the background image which shows up on the Netflix login screen. Let me just import that. Where is it? Documents, downloads. And let's add it here. So this is the cover image I had already downloaded before. You guys can download any image or just search for one. All right, let's give this a class. Okay. So we'll say bg URL, and we'll give the URL, which is, let's do one thing, let's use backticks here. All right, so we will have src, not src, it's the path for this. Let's just copy this. Let's go back to the login page, and this should add the background image. Okay, and then let's give this a width which is full screen, and let's give this a height. So height min wait, what is it, min h, whatever is the viewport height, we'll set it to that, right? And it has set this background image, as you can see over here, it is showing up now. And let's see what else we will say, bg cover, so that it covers up the entire background. Let's give this a absolute position, and we will say top 0. Now our header got hidden, right? So let's give this a z index of 1, and let's give this a relative position. All right, so that it comes in the, so it is above this absolutely positioned element in the stacking context, right? Okay. The next thing that we will do is, let's see what else. Let's give this a negative z index, so minus z dash 1. All right, so we have defined the background image. Let's create another section. So there's a, a slight black, cover over the image. Let's create that effect. So this is also absolutely position, and we'll say inset 0, which basically sets everything to 0, top, right, bottom, and left. Okay, and let's use the background gradient styling. So we'll say bg gradient from top to bottom, and we will say from zinc 900, and it has a 50% opacity, right? So you can see that we got this slight, black tint. Okay, let's check it out. So if we remove this, you can see there's a slight change in the color, right? So to get that effect, we added this element. Then what we will do is we'll create a form element here. All right, and let's give it a class. This is also relatively positioned, and let's give this a height. So min h is 70, viewport height. Okay, let's give this a background as well. So we'll say bg black, and it is 75% opaque. So we have this. Let's give this a width as well. So width of say 450 pixels, and we want this to come in the center, right? So we'll say mx auto. So now this is appearing in the center of the screen. All right, and inside this we will create a section. Rather, let's use the article tag. This will have a heading. Let's call this as sign in. We will say, let's give this a class text uh, for Excel. And let's add some padding over here as well. So padding of 16. All right. And the form is having rounded corners also. So we will say rounded large. Okay. Then let's create a section here for all the input fields. So we will have input type email, email. Then we will have input type password, password, password. And we will have a button over here as well, which will have the text sign in. And let's style this now. So we'll say flex column. Let's give a gap over here of 4. Okay, and this, let's give a margin over here. So margin bottom 4. Let's style these now. Class name, this is having the rounded medium class. This has a padding of 2. Okay, let's give it a background of zinc 500 and a text gray of 300. So something like this. And let's give the same styling for this element as well. Okay, and for the button, uh, so margin in the y direction of 8, rounded medium, and let's give it a padding of 2 as well, and font semi bold. And let's come to the let's see, Netflix assets. There was a page, I can't find it here, but okay, let's do one thing. Let's just pick this color from here. Whatever is this red color, we will pick that using this. All right, let's copy this and let's add this red color to our palette. So we will create a new color, Netflix red. Okay, and we will give that red color to this button. PG Netflix red. All right, so we have that, and outside of this, let's add another paragraph which will say new to Netflix, sign up now. Okay, so we have this text information basically. All right, and let's handle this now. Function on submit. On submit, let's rename this to sign in, and this is getting an event object. So so we will say event dot prevent default. So now when we click on sign in, it is no longer refreshing, and we'll just accept the username and the password over here. So we will say over here const email comma password equals event dot target. Okay, as password, HTML, input element. Okay, let's do one thing. Um, okay, never mind. We'll come back to this part now or later, but for now, let's just keep this aside. We'll figure out how to give a type for this. We'll keep this aside. We'll set this to any for now. And we will just log these values to the console. Email dot value and password dot value. All right, let's see. And whatever. Let's see if it's logging that to the console. So it is logging that. So this part is done. Let's if you guys have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll stop here, and then tomorrow I mean, in the next session, we'll work on uh, adding the authentication part, and we'll add some more functionality as well to this clone. Okay. So, any doubts so far? All right. So, I'm assuming there are no more doubts. In case you still have doubts, we'll move over to the Discord voice channel and you can ask me your remaining doubts there. Okay. So until then, take care, work on the clone. I'm looking forward to seeing the projects that you guys are working on. So take care and bye bye.